everyone, it's Stella
and Tarrant here
from Meeple University. Today, in our vlog, we have a very special guest that I can't wait to show you. Matthew from the Plastic Canvas that is here with us. How are you, Matthew?
Hi, Matthew.
I'm really good, thanks guys. Thanks for having me on.
Really a pleasure to have you here. Now, Matthew is an expert in something that I'm really bad at, which is I have here 3 Gloomhaven minis that he has actually painted. Like, Matthew lives in the same city, well, sort of. Is Geelong the same city? Like, we're in Melbourne, he's in Geelong.
We're about an hour away, but yeah, pretty close.
Yeah, so...
Greater Melbourne.
Yes, we're able to ship it to him and then painted all these 3. So we're going to have some more B-rolls for these minis. But I have a few questions for you, Matthew. It's just about in regards to what you do and, you know, how you do those things. It's so beautiful. Like, I know nothing about this. So if I ask, like, not a very smart question, please forgive me.
No, all good. And you said that I'm an expert.
Yeah.
I am far from an expert. I just like painting minis. So, yeah, no, any question's going to be good.
Very humble as well. So, let's start. So, how have you, how long have you been doing this for?
I've been painting minis for probably just shy of 2 years. Probably close enough to 2 years, I suppose. But, like, when I was younger, like a kid, I was into like as much arty sort of stuff as I could be. So drawing, sketching, all of that sort of stuff. Didn't do a lot of painting just because of the extra investment that it took, you know, having paints, canvas, a big spot sort of set up for it, but drawing and sketching a lot. And then I sort of took that through into my first line of work. I became an architect, but for various reasons I sort of fell away from that and then lost that sort of artistic kind of side, the time to be able to do that. And then I was always looking for a way to get back into it. And then maybe 5 or 6 years ago, my wife and I and our like close circle of friends, we got into board gaming. We started with Ticket to Ride, Dead of Winter, Hanabi, Sushi Go, all those sorts of games.
Yes.
And then over time we got some games with minis, and as we started to get more and more of them, I was looking at them thinking like these would be really cool to paint. They're just going to make the games look better. And then probably about 2 years ago I got into it. And then about 6 months sort of into painting, I then started my my YouTube channel. So and then it's just sort of come along from there.
That's awesome. So your YouTube channel, is that your main social media platform, or is that I know you on Instagram and Twitter as well and Facebook?
Yes.
So YouTube.
Certainly in terms of actually seeing what I'm doing, definitely YouTube. That's where I spend most of my time. I'm definitely active on Instagram, where I post what I'm painting. And sort of work in progress pictures. I also post on Twitter as well. I started Facebook a little while ago, but it was just too much to handle, all YouTube, Instagram and Twitter. So
I feel you. Yes.
Kept the Instagram and Twitter going. But they're mainly for just work in progress pictures, but then also so that I can see what other people are doing to get inspiration and that sort of stuff. Certainly YouTube is the main one for putting up content. You
have really great videos there. I've checked out some of your videos. And this one as well, this little minis that's over here. I'm just going to put it here. It's like, it's not just painting. It feels like you put love into it as well. It's just so detailed. It's like, I mean, look at this. Like, I'll show the audience what it looks like soon in B-roll, but it's just amazing. And you are also on the Dice Towers board game breakfast as well, doing this, showing the video.
Yeah, so I've done 2 different types of videos on there now. The first few that I put out was called To Paint or Not to Paint.
Yes.
So when I finished painting a game, I then did a video to talk about quickly, like just about the game itself, but then whether I thought it was worth putting the time into it to actually paint. There are a few yeses and nos in there, just depending on how much it added to the game and the time that went into it.
I watched that actually. Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah, so they were. Yeah, that was good to put together, but it was a little bit too few and far between because it took me to finish painting a game before I could do a video.
Yeah.
So now I do 2-minute mini. So after I finish putting a video together, and my videos normally take 20 to 30 minutes, I suppose. Some of them are a bit longer, but usually in that time frame. So then I just condense that down to 2 minutes, and I talk about 1 or 2 sort of key points that I needed to work on, or something that I found difficult, or something like that.
Yes.
And then that goes up on Board Game Breakfast every week or two. And then if people want to see more of what I did there, they can then head over to my channel and watch the rest of it.
Yeah, Tom is good like that, where you put a segment there, but then you can always like advertise your own channel at the end of it. Yeah, like us as well.
Yes.
It's usually.
Yes. I watched. I don't know whether it was the last Board Game Breakfast, maybe just one of the videos, but he was talking about how he was happy that some certain people had really made their start on breakfast. So it's really good what he does, and I think he understands that people are trying to use that as a bit of a way of launching themselves.
Absolutely. So let me ask you this. As I said earlier, I know nothing about painting. So does Tarrant.
Yeah, I know very little. I remember way back, I think Dad tried to get us to dabble once, just to see how we would go. And we had an old X-Men game.
Yeah.
And I think my brother was the lucky one who got to paint Iceman, which was basically just painted white. And I think I got Beast, and I painted him dark blue with a different coloured dark blue shorts. So it was. I never quite had the detail orientation for it.
Well, at least you tried something. So what are some of the tips? Like you can think a few of the tips from us as beginners, and then some tips for more like advanced painters, I guess.
Yeah. So first of all, I don't know whether that's an intentional question so that I can plug one of my series that I have actually done, but I do have a series called Anyone Can Paint Miniatures.
That's awesome.
Because I have read quite a bit, people saying that they'd love to get into miniature painting, but they don't think it's worth it because they're not a good enough painter. Mm-hmm. Anyone can do it. You don't... these minis that I've got sitting up here, these are like these ones here from Tainted Grail, I did them recently. So, it takes a while to work up to it, but you can just paint a mini and just to have it the colours that it's supposed to be. You don't have to go in and do crazy highlighting and shading and all of that sort of stuff, for it to be worth your time. I think some of the big things, so first of all, I think when you start out, really focusing on just your paint consistency and brush control is really, really important, and not worrying about having like a crazy finish to it, just taking your time and just focusing on just a couple of things at a time.
Yeah.
So, making sure your paint's not too thick but not too thin, and just being able to put it where you want to, and being okay with the fact that they're probably not going to look very good at first. I've, I look back at my first minis that I painted. Pandemic Reign of Cthulhu was the first game that I painted. Yeah.
Right.
I look back at those minis and they look awful, but that's okay because you try things and you build your skills.
Like maybe our first videos or something. Like.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
But I think then being able to just gradually build up to an effect and not trying to nail it in your very, very first go. So like highlighting and shading, for instance, not trying to do your final painting, just your final highlight as your first highlight and your final deepest shadow as your first shadow. Thin the paint down, build it up over layers and things like that. So whether you're doing highlighting and shading or like a rust effect like what I did on the shield.
Oh my god, that's amazing.
One of your Gloomhaven minis.
Oh, yes.
There's several steps that go into that. You don't just go like straight to an orange and just whack it on and hope it's going to look like rust. You start with so I use Typhus Corrosion first to get that textured sort of effect. Yeah. Then I go to a Vallejo Rust Wash, and then I finish with the Riser Rust, which is a Citadel dry paint. So just being able to just start off slow and then just gradually build up to the look that you want at the end, just not rushing straight into it and trying to get that final look straight away. I could talk for hours about, tips for people that are starting out, but they're just a couple of things. So when you're starting off, just be okay with the fact that the minis are not going to look very good. Mine looked rubbish, but they get better over time. Start with the paint consistency, brush control, just try and get that to improve just a bit every time. And then when you've got a handle on that, then move on to wet blending and OSL and things like that take a little bit more skill, because I think everything at its heart comes back to having the paint the right consistency and being able to put it where you want it to.
Absolutely.
Just gradually building up to the effect that you want. and not trying to nail it on the very, very first go.
Wow.
Yeah, I think it's like you really have to treat it as a hobby that you work towards and build up. You can't see what great mini painters do and say, I want to get to that and get discouraged right away. And it's true for any hobby that you get into.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I like I was saying earlier, I often look through Instagram at other people's painting, and it just you think, geez, I wish one day I could paint like that. But yeah, it takes time, and you really start to appreciate what they've actually put into that mini. It's that they didn't take them an hour to do. So Sam Lenz, who's one of my favourite professional painters, he put up I think it's going to be his entry to either the Crystal Brush or Golden Demon, which are two really big painting competitions over in America.
Yep.
But he said it took him like 100 hours to paint this one mini.
Whoa! 100 hours?
The longest time that I've spent on a mini would be maybe 10 or 12.
Yeah.
And he's done 100, so you think, that's the amount of time that's
how big is this mini? Is are they human size mini? That's not minis anymore.
Oh well, I'm not sure of the scale from the picture, but it'd be, I don't know, it looked like a pretty good size. But just the amount of detail that goes into it, and this the depth of colour and the effects, and all the there's lots of armour on it.
Yeah.
And I use metallic paints to do all of my metallic work. But there's no metallic paints in it, so it's all done just by gradually building up to get the reflection and that, and then it looks like metal, but it's just normal acrylics, like what I've got on my shelf just sitting here. So yeah, it's amazing what some people can do, but it's just having the right expectations, I think.
Yeah.
And if you want to go into it and just have minis painted the colours that you want them to be, just do that. And that's fine. You don't have to push any further than that. It's an awesome hobby to get into, and I definitely recommend it for people that think that they're not a good enough painter. I made that series anyone can paint minis, because I genuinely do think that anyone can do it.
Wow, I feel a little bit pumped up now. We can paint minis, surely.
Yeah, and I think what you said before about it being a good artistic outlet is I think it's good for people to hear that and to know where they can get their artistic outlet, because I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who liked art as they were growing up and painting, but then just sort of lost their outlet for it.
Yeah, you're right. Painting minis is a good outlet for sure.
Yeah, and for me, I only paint board game minis. I don't play Warhammer or Kingdom Death or anything like that. So it ties straight into our main hobby. It's the main thing that we do, and with our close circle of friends. So it has that bonus effect as well of contributing to our main hobby.
So before we go further, I just want to show our video that you we have from you, the kind of the process of painting these 3 minis, and we'll get back to it. Wow, that's amazing, Tarrant. It's Matthew. How that's really detailed. Really, really great work. Watch that. It's just amazing. So those are just like a really snippet of it. So if anyone at home wants to see more, you'll be at the Plastic Canvas YouTube channel, which I'll put in the link descriptions below this video for more with your narrative and everything, Matthew, and how to paint this tree. I mean, look at this. It's even the base has got grass. I saw how you put grass in the stone.
Grass and stones, yep, for the background there. Even some little wood chips, I think, on this guy's
is
face.
it deliberate?
Yeah, it's just green tea leaves for a bit of undergrowth.
Wow, it's just so amazing. Yeah, I love it. Thank you so much for painting our minis.
Yep, I'll certainly.
Oh no, thanks for sending them down. It was awesome to paint them. They were really, really good minis. So, and there were 3 good ones to paint because there was a nice bit of variation from one to the next. So in the videos, obviously talking quite detail about them, but say with the Tinkerer, if you look back at the artwork, it's basically one colour from head to toe, just that brownish sort of bronzish colour. And I think in 2D artwork, like what you see in the game, that works fine in 2D because the detailing can be so crisp and defined. But then when you bring it down to that scale and it's really, really quite small, even if you've got slight colour shifts from one part to another, it's really hard to pick out the details because it is so small. The challenge there was to try and pick out some key parts to differentiate the details a little bit from each other, especially when you've got that mini sitting in the middle of the table and then everyone's around the edge and you're seeing it from that distance. It all just blurs together. And then with the Scoundrel, who most of the interest for her comes from all of her little details, like the ninja stars and the knives and all the little bits of armour and that sort of stuff. And like I was talking in the video with her, until I got to painting all of those little details, she wasn't really looking like much because it was just, there's not really much texture or anything in her actual clothing. It really comes down to those small details. So then it's waiting to get to those parts to pick them out. And then with the Brute, he was just lots of fun doing his the fur coat and then trying to build up the highlights and that in his skin. So yeah, that was so for him there was a clear focal point. And that was, his coat, so that's what I put a fair bit of time into, building up the textures and then the blend from the blue through to the lightest brown.
Wow.
But then, with the Scoundrel and the Tinkerer, it was more about picking out key elements to break up the details. And, so there was quite different approaches that went into each of them.
All of them looks beautiful. I am usually playing with the Brute, so this will be... I even thinking when I retire the Brute character, I'll probably... use another character, but still use the Brute because I don't want to retire the Brute anymore.
It will be disappointing to open the new boxes and get this grey thing that comes out.
The grey thing.
You'll have to send a few more down and I can paint them for you. Then that way you can be happy to retire and go on to some other
charge us
ones.
for that, literally. We're happy to do that.
No, I enjoy doing it. I wouldn't charge
it's so nice. So what have you been painting? Show us some of those things in the background there.
Oh yeah, so these so this guy here from Mansions would be the most recent one that's sitting up here that I've done. So this is one that is on 2 Minute Mini. So this is the Formless Storm, I think it was called. I might be wrong. I think something like that. But yes, this is from the Horrific Journeys expansion. So for this, when painting a mini like this, which is kind of predominantly one colour, but there's lots of detail and texture in it. I use washes to paint this, which is, and I'll just bring,
Awesome.
So this is one here. It's really, really thin. It's a little bit different to paint, but it's really, really thin. And so it just flows into all of the recesses and darkens everything. But I just mixed some of them together so I did what's called a zenithal prime. So started with black, and then hit it from grey from a fairly high angle, then white from directly above, so it looks like it's being hit from light directly above. And then just use washes over the top of that, so all those tones then still come through, so it's lighter on top than what it is like underneath in all of the shadows. So it more just kind of tints the prime really. But I wet blended in some purples and different things like that. And then there's the mouth on this side here. So blended in some reds into there. And then, try to, do some kind of rotted sort of looking teeth. So it's all dark where the gums are and then a bit whiter at the tips, and painted some striations in it for the details. And then, just finished off with some gloss varnish on the eyes and in the mouth just to make it look like it's sort of glistening a little bit. So he was lots and lots of fun to do.
That's on your channel as well, I believe. I'm pretty sure I've seen that. The process of painting.
Yes, so there's a video of that.
Yes.
And that's on 2 Minute Mini as well. This guy here, this is... Oh, what's he called? Can't remember what this guy's called. It's from the Whole Lot of Lava expansion. From Arcadia Quest Inferno.
Amazing.
I'm really blanking on what he's called.
Call him the Thor monster.
I can't remember. So he was really, really fun to paint because, like, for the rocks, so I just started with a black prime and then just dry brushed started with dark grey and then worked up to a lighter grey, and then just painting all of the lava in all those cracks there. So just started with a red in there and then just did a thin orange line in the middle just to create like a bit of a glow sort of effect. And then where all of these kind of like little, the cracks meet, like, say like just there, for example, just put yellow in there and then just feathered it out a little bit just to make it look like there are some hot spots. And then doing like the lava base. So I just blended some reds and oranges and yellows together and then used a texture paint from Citadel called Grelin Earth, which as it dries it just cracks, and then it exposes all of the paint that's underneath, and then I painted all those little bits black, and then it just gives that that lava
you got skills
kind of
you
effect.
Got skills.
It also shows how many different styles of paint there are and how much the paint can work for you.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got other ones over there, even just something as simple as like another Citadel one, it's Blood for the Blood God. So, instead of having to mix up a blood one, that's nice and shiny and wet. I've also got like a dried blood one of that as well.
It's different.
So, just for all sorts of different things. And then this is one of the menhirs from Tainted Grail.
Yes.
So there it was. This was my first go at doing OSL, which is object source lighting.
Oh.
So that's where you have a light source and then painting the light on the surrounding surfaces that's being cast onto it. So that was quite a lengthy process, just building up from like the really bright glow right around the candle, and then just feathering out to the edge. But this is sort of what I really like about painting minis from board games, is that they're all a bit different. You're not painting just basically the same thing over and over and over again, which I sort of could see happening with like painting an army or something like that. So, and it gives you a chance to learn lots of different things because, I hadn't really had a chance of doing OSL or that, the painting the glow from a light source until the menhirs came along. So that gave me a chance to practice that.
Absolutely.
But yeah.
Cool. And do you think it does seem, looking at Kickstarter these days, there's a lot more games with minis and quality minis coming out. Do you see that trend and you think that's a good direction that all of that's been going recently?
Yeah, I think for sure. I think you can pick the ones pretty easily where the game is trying to hide behind the production quality. So I don't really think it's that much of an issue of, we're starting to see maybe lesser quality games coming out because the production quality is getting better. You can see that and then just avoid them.
Yeah.
I'm all for games doing kick-ass minis if it helps to improve the way it looks on the table and it gives me something else to paint. I think it's really good. But Frosthaven's coming out. It's got what, $13-14 million. It's going to have amazing minis. That's going to be a good game. There's. I think we were having a look at Hell, the new Mystic Games,
at the moment,
or Mythic Games. Sorry.
So
you can see the quality's going up, but then you can also see the game that's behind it. So yeah, I'm all for it.
Right. Yeah, I think these days you have to have beautiful, sort of like some sort of beautiful artwork or table presence for a game to sell, because
Yes.
you know, just each game competing with each other. The same with video, I guess.
Yeah.
It's like getting better and better.
Well, look at like Tang Garden that you guys were playing earlier
Yes.
today. Like that looks amazing on the table. That is a beautiful looking game.
Well, yours is even more
But,
beautiful
I mean-
because it's painted, right?
Well, some of it is, but like the minis in that are nothing special.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
very, very basic.
Yeah.
Like I did a video on them where I focused on how I used the colours to sort of bring them to life a little bit. But the panoramas that go around the edge and the garden tiles, like it's just, the artwork is just phenomenal in games now.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's basically it, our questions. Do you have anything that you want to shout out or mention to the audience, our audience, possibly your audience as well? Will be your audience.
Yeah, no, I think we sort of covered everything pretty well. I think probably just the main thing is that, like with my channel, there's lots of miniature painting channels out there. And when I started up my channel, the thing that I didn't really want to do was just create another channel that did tutorials or painting guides. There's plenty of channels out there that do that and that do it really well. So there was no reason for me to be another one of them. What I really wanted to do was, it's called the plastic canvas, but you see in the logo around the edge, it says a beginner's journey into painting minis. And that's really what I've tried to do with my channel, is just document my progression in the hobby.
Right.
And in each video, I share why I'm doing things the way that I do, as opposed to just how I'm doing it. So I talk about what I've done in the past that might have gone wrong, or things that went right that's led me to painting the way that I do. Because I think it's really important when you're learning something to know the why, not just the how.
Yes. Yeah.
And so, with what I've really tried to do with my channel is focus it on why I paint the way that I do and what I've done in the past that's led me to paint that way, so that then if someone that's getting into the hobby hears that, they may be having the same sort of difficulties that I used to, so then that may be a way that it can sort of help them out to find a way to improve. Because we all have the same sort of difficulties. So that's just what I've really tried to focus my channel on. So rather than just paint this part this colour and do this technique here, it's I'm using this technique here for this particular reason, because this thing that I did in the past didn't work the way that I wanted it to.
It's like your journey. It's pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Matthew's journey of painting. The plastic canvas. Yeah, so I will definitely put the link to your channel or and the other social medias as well in the description. So you viewers can check it out. Also, question for the viewers at home: do you paint your minis? Why would you paint your minis? Why you don't want to paint your minis? Maybe watch Matthew's videos for inspirations. We want to know what's whether people do paint minis or not, or you just started, or obviously hopefully this video also inspire the viewers to paint the minis and maybe learn a thing or two from Matthew. And even Matthew, maybe one day we can even get to play games like this restrictions started to lift off, maybe an hour drive.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Well, we're not too far away from each other, so
that'd be so awesome.
That'd be awesome.
Well, thank you so much for joining
we'll
us.
have to have a game of Gloomhaven.
Yes, that's going to be awesome. Thank you so much for joining us today. Really, really good to have you here, and then sharing your skills and your knowledge and everything else. And hopefully we'll see you again soon.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. We've been talking through Instagram for a little while now. It's good to actually speak to you, no, it's been lots of fun.
All right, thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.
All right, thanks very much.
Bye.
See you guys.
So that's an interview with Matthew from the Plastic Canvas. A really impressive, really nice guy. Yep. Don't forget to check Matthew's channel. And as usual, if you enjoy this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to us. You can also hit the Meeple in the corner and hit the bell so you won't miss anything from us. I also share my board games journey on Instagram, so hopefully I'll see you there too. So with that, hopefully you enjoy that, and until next time,